One Question is designed to give subscribers valuable insights on how executive leaders in college athletics think about key issues on their respective campuses, in their departments, or within their leagues and conferences.
Greetings, this is Ty Brown and welcome to One Question, where we highlight executive leaders in college athletics. Our guest today is Dr. Jeffrey Docking. Dr. Docking is the president at Adrian College. He's been the president there for 13 years. Greetings, Jeffrey. Thanks for joining us today.
Hey, thanks for having me on your podcast. I'm honored to be here, Ty.
Now, Dr. Docking, you've been the president there for 13 years. You are the chair of the NCAA Division III President's Council. Of course, you spent real brief time as the head coach of the hockey team there at Washington and Jefferson College. And off and on, you've coached youth sports, high school sports, overall for roughly 15 years. My question for you today is about your role on the President's Council for the NCAA. What does that role as chair of the NCAA Division III President's Council entail?
Yeah, sure, Ty. So I think a number of years ago when the NCAA and maybe even the broader society started to realize how big college sports had gotten in this country, the number of people that watch it, the networks that broadcast it, the number of fans that show up to games, how lucrative it's become. The NCAA decided they really, really wanted to have more presidential oversight of college athletics. And so they made a big effort to get more presidents involved. And you're right, I love college sports. I've been involved with college sports in one form or another for a good portion of my life. And I love what college sports brings to the table for student athletes, but also for communities. I mean, it's really a beautiful and unique thing that we have in America that other countries don't have. So, to specifically to your question, the Division III President's Council is a group of about 15 to 20 presidents. As the chair, I serve a number of roles. I certainly am the convener of the group. We get together 3 or 4 times a year. In addition to being a convener, I'm a listener. I really try to hear out the college presidents around the table to see what's off in the distance, what's coming around the corner, what do we need to be careful of, where do we see problems, where do we see great things happening in college sports we want to expand upon. And I'm also a synthesizer. I mean, you don't run these things by fiat or even by a benevolent dictatorship. You do it by synthesizing good ideas, and the presidents are very bright people, so I listen. And then we try to come out with policies and procedures and sort of a framework around college athletics that makes sense for the students, the athletes, the coaches, and everybody involved with the enterprise. So it's very, at the end of the day, it's really a policy-making group, but a whole lot more goes into it than simply coming up with a few policies and putting them into action.
Right. Well, I'd imagine you spent time prior to becoming the chair, and now you are the chair. So you've probably seen a lot and heard a lot in terms of sharing ideas, proposing ideas, and then also the policies that come from those ideas since being on that council.
That's for sure. Yeah, that is for sure. I've learned a lot from being on this council. I mean, I could go on and on about all of the different things that I've learned from surrounding myself with these presidents. There's 450 colleges and universities at the Division III level in America. It's by far the largest division. A lot of people think of Division I sports as sort of being where the action's at, and certainly there are a lot of great athletes in Division I, but the vast majority of schools are Division III. And so, when you get inside these presidents' councils and can look at what's going on in other campuses, you really get a much fuller view at how wonderful Division III is.
Is there any specific policy or legislation that has come from your time being on the council that you're specifically proud of, that it took a lot to get it done, and now it's done and you feel like it has really helped college athletics on the Division III level?
Yeah, well, the most recent one, which is probably the most high-profile one, is the Rice Commission. Condoleezza Rice formed the commission with David Robinson and Grant Hill and a number of other very, very successful people in America, and they said, how can we really change the framework around March Madness and Division I men's college basketball in a way that serves the public and renews integrity in the sport? Well, even though that's a Division I sport and a Division I issue, it takes the vote of Division III presidents and institutions, commissioners and ADs to put into policy some of the things that Condoleezza Rice said that we needed. And so we will be taking a big vote coming up in January. I'm optimistic that it will pass. And essentially the vote will be to put 5 new members on the Board of Governors, which is the highest legislative board in the NCAA, to look out for Division I, II, and so that's one example of a big-time policy that we're involved with right now.
Well, thinking about athletics specifically there at Adrian, your time on the council, has it helped you put on a new lens and see athletics in a different perspective and change your thoughts about how you do things there at Adrian?
You know, Ty, it really has. It really has helped me see it in a new light. And I can name 3 or 4 different ways. First of all, let me say that we've expanded from 16 sports to 44 sports at Adrian College. And so one of the things that it has helped me understand is how wonderful sports is, how important it is to young people's academics. In fact, we look at our kids in season and out of season in terms of how they do in the classroom, their grades, et cetera. And they tend to do better when they're structured and they're in season. It's really helped me understand how talented kids are at the Division III level. What I say is if you're 6'6", you play wide receiver, you probably go to the University of Michigan. If you're 6'1", you go to Adrian College. But you can't do much about your height, but your talent can be developed. And so it's a very, very talented group of kids. And there are so many parents and families out there that would love for their kids to be able to play college sports, not to mention the students themselves that want to play, that I think it's helped me understand how important these schools are. And I think the other thing that I'll mention to you about what I've learned is that it's reaffirmed to me the student-athlete paradigm that was probably set up 100 years ago, when the NCAA was formed and college sports started. This is college sports the way it's supposed to be, where these are students first. They don't get any scholarship support, but they've got a conflict between a test and a class, and they, in a practice. It's academics first. And so it is really a way for students to get a great college degree, but also, play a sport they love in the interim.
Right. I've heard from other athletic directors at Division III institutions that say enrollment across the board, across the nation, is down because some parents are actually deciding whether college is necessary. Do you think have you increased sports? Has that helped you in terms of that? I don't know if Adrian sees that or not, but do you see any of that? And has the increase in sports, the number of people participating, helped Adrian with that potential problem?
Well, you're exactly onto it, Ty. That's exactly right. And it is an enrollment driver at many institutions. And just to give you an example, we've gone from 840 kids 14 years ago to 1,863. So we've more than doubled over the last several years, and it's largely due to leveraging sports. And so, you're right. There's a separate conversation about whether, college is worth it. And obviously, I think it is. But, college has gotten expensive. I think a lot of people are asking, geez, do I want to take on the debt load? Is this what I should be doing? And yet, what often is the tipping point for those students is if they can get an education and play sports as well. So, I think that sports is a driver, and I think in many respects, the NCAA, intercollegiate athletics, is really helping to keep many smaller institutions alive that are having financial problems because the kids still want to play sports.
Right. Of course, from the campus perspective, athletics is a window to the world. So people see, especially if you're successful at it, people see what you're doing and people want to be a part of that environment. My final question to you here is, from your perspective as a president, the state of NCAA Division III athletics, or even just athletics in general across the country, where do you see it? Where do you see it now and possibly in the future here in the United States?
Yeah, well, I'm an optimist. I'm bullish on NCAA intercollegiate sports. In my opinion, it's never been better. More people participating, more integrity in the sport than I've ever seen. I think we've tightened it up a lot over the last several years. Certainly, there's now and again a bad apple in the bunch, but you know what? The vast majority of athletic directors and coaches, presidents, and people associated with college athletics are very, very good people who are in it for the right reasons, which is to give kids this sort of magical 4-year window of time when they can battle, on the ice or in the fields or on the courts, make good friendships, create good memories, have a lifetime to look back on, the championships won and the depressing losses that you never quite get over. But yeah, I think athletics is in a great place. I really, really believe in Mark Emmert, president of the NCAA, and his staff. So I think that people should feel good about where we're at.
Right. Well, I couldn't agree with you more. And I look at the things you've done there at Adrian. You've increased sports, increased enrollment, you significantly increased the endowment there. And it looks to me from the outside looking in that Adrian should be happy to have you as a president, especially Adrian Athletics, in terms of celebrating and being a college sports enthusiast. I really appreciate you joining us here on One Question.
Well, that's nice of you to say. I'm honored to be on your show, Ty, and please call back anytime. I'm happy to do it again.
That was Dr. Jeffrey Docking. Dr. Docking is the president at Adrian College, and he's been the president there for 13 years. He's also the chair of the NCAA Division III President's Council. And of course, this is Ty Brown with One Question. And keep in mind, the role of a leader is to create and maintain an environment that people want to be a part of. And as always, be better tomorrow than you are today. This episode of One Question is produced by Spades Media Group, solving problems using creative leadership.